Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. One question remained unanswered yesterday, so we'll look at that. What is the difference between Paramatma, Ishvara, Omkara? Very nice question. Paramatma, Brahman, Ishvara, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Paramatma, Nirguna, Nirakara, Ishvara, Saguna, Sakara, Omkara, Saguna and Nirakara. Already answered. That is not your question. Please bring your question. Yeah. This I will keep for Tuesday. Yeah, exchange.
Omkara, we are so close
Yeah. Thank you. If animals don't do karma, how is it possible for them to get a human body after being an animal? Very good question. Yeah, very good question. In fact, when I first started to study, I was also wondering the same thing. I also asked this to Pujya Swamiji once. And the answer for this is very clear, very simple. The animal life is not the first life. The animal was already a beginningless jiva, had gone through many iterations, many avatars, many bodies it has taken. That jiva, sometimes human body. Once if you take a human body, you have endless karma for endless number of bodies, kalpa after kalpa after kalpa, after yuga. So, just because in one life I become a dog, right? And then in the dog life I don't accrue any karma. How will there be the karma for the new birth, I am thinking. But the karma for the new birth is there in Sanchita, because we have three forms of karma. Sanchita is the collected karma. So it's like you break off the dough and make one tortilla, okay? And then after that, the dough is still left so much. That tortilla does not get into trouble, but then there is so much dough still left, and that becomes the impetus for the next and next bodies until this knowledge takes place. Okay? Yeah. Which is why we have to study chapter 15. Chapter 15 is considered extremely important because it has everything. And it has Mahavakya, the Aikya, the oneness between Jiva and Ishvara, and we'll see that. It has sadhana, how to gain this knowledge, and what is the, it has also the nature of samsara. It has everything, and that's why it is chanted. And it has also practical applications of Ishvara's sarvatmatvam, sarvavyapti. The all-pervasive nature of Ishvara is beautifully talked about. Even in the digestive fire which we eat, and then Ishvara digests the food we eat. All this is talked about. So it's a wonderful contemplation on Bhagavan, this chapter. Even though we chant it before eating, and we are mostly contemplating on dal and sabji, but still it is dal and sabji is also what? Ultimately Bhagavan alone. And so the last two verses had told us to go close to Ishvara via bhakti, and what this and how this bhakti culminates naturally into jnanam is talked about in chapter 15. But first we have a beautiful description of samsara. And since Arjuna's question is answered and Arjuna does not ask any more question, Bhagavan continues. And since the chapter is all about Bhagavan, it is called Purushottama Yoga. Purushottama Yoga means what? The chapter that talks about Bhagavan. And Bhagavan as what? The truth of oneself. And so, Om Atha Panchadashodhyayah.
Om Atha Panchadashodhyayah.
Urdhvamo, we can chant it together, yes? Urdhvamulamadash-shakham Ashvatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi yasya parnani Yastam Veda Savedavid Adhashchodhvam prasrutastasya shakaha Guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha Adhascha mulanyanusantani Karmanubandhini manushya-loke Narupamasyeha tathopalabhyate Nando na jadirna cha sampratishta Ashvatthamenam suvirudhamulam Asangashastrena dridena chitva Tatah padam tatparimargitavyam Yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyaha Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye Yatah pravrityar prasritah purani Nirmana mohajita sangadoshaha Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha Dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha samyaihi Gacchantya-mudha padamavyayam tat. That's enough, yeah. So that's plenty. Here again, just like in the Kathopanishad, lifted from the Kathopanishad, we find the analogy of the samsara tree. Usually what is it called? Upside down tree. Tree is not upside down. The people's priorities are upside down. If anything is upside down, it's the priorities. Because one goes for the low-hanging fruit and the leaves and things which are easily objectifiable, easily available within samsara. So as we have studied in the Kathopanishad even very recently, that this samsara vriksha has an abiding presence in Vedanta Shastra. And then so for a contrast, I took one from verse 145th verse, I think, in the Viveka Chudamani. This also has a very beautiful description of the samsara tree, and it is there in the where is it? On the board, on the white board, it is there. Bijam samsriti bhumi jasya tutamaha dehatma dhiram kuraha ragav pallavam ambu karma tuvapuhu skandho shavashakhika agranindriya samhatischa vishayaha pushpani dukkham phalam nana karma samudbhavam bahuvidham bhoktatra jivah khagaha. Beautiful, Bijam, the seed of this tree. Samsriti bhumijaha. Samsriti means samsara. Bhumijaha, bhumau jayate, born in the bhumi or born from the bhumi. So what is that? Bhumija means tree. So the bija, the seed of the samsara tree, is what? Tamaha. Ajnanam, we sow the ajnanam. In order to harvest the samsara tree, what to do? Sow some ajnanam, sow the seed of ajnanam. And then it gets watered by the rain or watering can, and then after that you have a ankura, a sprout. What is that sprout of the samsara tree? I am as good as the body, iti buddhi. Dehatma dhihi ankuraha yasya. Dehatmi buddhihi ankuraha. Ragaha pallavam. Pallavam means the tree leaves. The leaves are raga. By extension, when we say raga, what else should we say? Raga dvesha are the leaves. Ambu karma. I water the samsara tree by my actions. The more I act, the more the samsara vivriddhi, the samsara tree grows and grows and grows through my actions, and it creates what is that? Result of action. And then ambu, karma, skandha. Skandha means vapu. Skandha means the trunk. The trunk of the tree is the body of the samsara. The whole meat of the samsara, the body of the samsara is the trunk. And then asavaha. Asavaha means the 5 pranas. Asu means breath. So asavaha, plural. What is that? Pranas. Asu means only prana, you can take respiration. But when it is plural, it is all the 5 pancha pranas. They are shakhikas, baby branches. Shakha, big branch. Shakhika, baby branches. And then what is agrani, means twigs. Small, the shakhikas, the baby branches have babyer twigs, little shoots, small twigs. They are called agrani. This is what drops after it dries, and this is what is used in samidadhanam and other yajnas. Agranis. We see this in the Veda mantras also. Agrani indriya samhatihi. Indriya samhatihi. And indriya samhati means what is that? Group of karmendriyas, jnanendriyas. Samhati means put together. All 10 indriyas are the 10 twigs coming out of the baby branches. And then vishayaha. Indriya vishayaha are what? Pushpani. The flowers coming at the end of these twigs. The twigs cannot have the flowers. They are always separated from the Vishaya, just like the Jivas are separated from the objects that they love. They think they can go after it, but then it soon wilts away and withers away like a pushpa. How long does the pushpa stay? 2 days? 3 days? That's how it is. And then pushpani. Then what is the fruit of this tree? Dukkham. Samsara tree, the fruit of the tree is what? Nothing but dukkham. Nana karma samudbhavam bahuvidham. Nana means grandfather, correct? No. Many and varied karmas. Born of samudbhavam, nicely born of many and varied karmas, bahuvidham, many kinds of samsara trees. So many, so many iterations of this tree are there. And then who is this tree for? Who is the one that is the consumer of the things on this tree? Who is eating the leaves? Who is eating the berries? Who is eating the flowers and the fruits? Khagaha, the bird. What kind of bird? Jiva bird. Poor Jiva bird perched on this tree cannot fly away far from this tree because says this tree is my livelihood. This is where my grandmother stayed. This is where my grandfather made a nest. These are the berries that one ate, and this berry is the legacy of my family, and therefore these berries are very, very important, and therefore I cannot leave this tree. Stuck to the tree. It's almost like one of the legs is chained to the branch of the tree. It flies, but just flies around and then comes back, stuck to the tree and addicted to the dukkha phala is this sad little jiva. Isn't this fabulous? Wonderful, from Viveka Chudamani. And similar here, so certain metaphors will be different, that's all. But the same idea is talked about in the first two verses. Let us see. And we have already done this. Urdhva Moolam Adhashakham. Same thing. Where did we study this recently? Kathopanishad. Same thing. Urdhva Moolah Avakshakah Eshaha Ashvattha Sanatanah. Tadeva Shukram Tad Brahma Tadevamritam Uchyate Tasmin Eva Shritaloke Tadu Na Atyeti Kaschana Etad Vaitad. This is what we saw there. And Urdhvam means above. Above not spatially, but because it is cause, it is above, effect is below, and then another reason it is above is why? Because it is superior. Brahman is bigger than any individual. So therefore above, not spatially above. And then below again means what? Tangible, objectifiable. Above means what? Invisible, not objectifiable. So the roots of this samsara tree are beyond time, beyond space, beyond conjecture, beyond logic, beyond objectification. This is what the urdhva. And then adhashakha. Shakha is very easily available. Low-hanging leaves, low-hanging fruit. Objectifiable. Then ashvatham. And then what is this ashvatham? Ashvatham prahuhu. They who know, the sages say, avyayam means it is timeless, meaning the samsara is anadi. The samsara does not have a beginning. And chandamsi yasya parnani. Same thing in Kathopanishad also. Whose leaves are the karma kanda of the Rig, Yajus, Sama, Atharva Vedas. Why? Because everybody wants the leaves. Why do we want the leaves? Because the leaves are the keys that open up the solution to various desires. These are what the leaves represent. Because the karma kanda, what does it do? It's a treatise on wish fulfillment. It's a treatise on wish fulfillment. And so therefore it is abundant and it is leafy, like the leaves. Many wishes and many solutions. And what to talk of, the early Vedas were written on what? Leaves. They were literally written on leaves. First, Adi Shankara's time, they were written, they were put into writing from oral, they were transferred to written, how? On leaves, palm leaves. So, Chandamsi Yasya Parnani. And the one who knows this samsara tree without getting mired in it, not being what should I say, trapped khaga, not being a trapped bird. The one who is unmired in it and knows this, knows the secret of this, Dastam Veda, Saha Vedavit, that one is Brahmavit, knows this. And then describing the tree further, it says, Adhascha urdhvam prasrithaha tasya shakha. The branches are going all around the place. And then the branches, Adi Shankara says, represent various kinds of ragas and various kinds of wants and then longings. Then the pravalaha, the shoots, like what is agrani here, the small shoots, are guna pravriddhaha, nourished by the three gunas. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas are the offshoots of the various branches of this tree. And then what else? Guna pravriddhaha, and then are nurtured by the gunas. Vishaya pravalaha. Pravalaha means the buds and the various pollen, etc. are the vishayas, indriya vishayas, objects of desire. That's why they are sticky. Like when you touch the pollen or your cloth that you are wearing brushes against the pollen, what happens? That pollen and all sticks, and some of the sap, etc. in the flower also sticks. Vishaya-pravalaha. Then adhascha mulani anusantatani. There are also roots below. Some kind of tap roots are also there below in the form of extended multiplying ragadveshas. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, all of them are there. They keep multiplying and dividing up these kinds of roots which are available for objectification. The ultimate root is Brahman, that is not available for objectification. Karmanubandhini manushya loke. And in the world of mortals, what happens? They are binding in nature. How are they binding? Through action. They are binding in nature. So, the tree and samsara have a lot in common. And even without studying the Vedas, people kept calling it family tree, ancestry. So, ancestry, family tree, without even knowing this. So, there is some connection. What is the connection? The connection is that we can't see the roots in the tree. And in the samsara tree also, whose pratishtha, whose basis is in Brahman, because nothing is outside of Brahman, there also we cannot see the roots. And then in the real tree, the foliage, the leaves, the flowers and the fruits attract. That is what the bees and the birds and all the human beings go for. Similarly, in the samsara tree, the objectifiable things, desire, fulfillment, etc., becomes the primary path of material fulfillment. This is what happens. Then, in the real tree, also it keeps growing and spreading. The samsara tree also is an ecosystem by itself. It keeps growing and spreading without any help. That's why it is called samsara. Samyak sarati. Samyak means very nicely, without your help. That which keeps burgeoning, growing, moving is called samsara. And what does it give? Dukkha. That's what it ultimately gives. And so then the tree is subject to be felled. Samsara is also subject to be felled. That is one more similarity. And so therefore the tree is likened to samsara because the tree is its own ecosystem. It has birds, it has what are they called? Creepers that live off that, parasitical creatures, and some certain small growth on the tree, which are like mushrooms, funguses, fungi. All these things are dependent on the tree. It is just it gives, it holds so many things based on it. Similarly, here also, the samsara tree holds on to so many things, gives life to every single raga, every single dvesha, has a lot of parasites that depend on it. So just like all the jivas are the parasites. They are the ones, just like the barnacles and small fungi depend on the tree. The jivas depend on samsara for their nurturance, emotional, and for their sustenance. This is what is the problem actually. In the beginning, it looks like a very nice example, but then this is the setup itself is the problem. And why is it a problem? It is a problem because it is addictive. Karmanu bandhini. Anubandhini means it just binds. How does karma bind? Karma binds because what does it do? It gives karma phala. That is one of the ways it binds. Karma binds because it gives karma phala. And what happens to the karma phala? The result of action are of two kinds. What are the two kinds? Papa and punya. And or even if we take the drishta phala. The drishta phala means what? Immediate results. Supposing I want something and I do some actions. And what is the result of action? Didn't get. Then what do? Do some more. Attack it from a different angle and keep on doing it again and again and again. This is my endeavor. So that means what? More karma. More karma means what? More karma phala. And then more karma phala means what? More karma. This is how the one is becomes a karmaholic, and because one is not a karmaholic, what is one? The one is a karma phalaholic, but then one becomes a karmaholic for the sake of karma phala. That is how karma works. Rupamasya iha na tatha upalabhyate. You know, it has the samsara tree is unfathomable. Its swarupa we cannot even describe. Even though we take the metaphor of the tree, samsara is so huge it cannot even be described. In fact, it's easier to teach Brahman than to talk about samsara. So, the rupamasya iha tatha means in any particular form, upalabhyate. Why? Na antaha, na adihi, na cha sampratishtha. It has no beginning, you know, because it is based on Brahman. That's why it has samsara has no beginning, because the jivas who are depending upon samsara for their well-being have no beginning. And then it has no middle and no in between. It doesn't seem to have an end. So therefore, this is why it is a dangerous looking tree. Dangerous looking tree. Doesn't seem to have an end, doesn't seem to have a middle, doesn't seem to have a beginning. Where should I look for the beginning of samsara? Where should I look for the end? If I am looking for the end, that means it hasn't come to an end for me. That is the key here. Na antaha na adi na cha sampratishtha. Suvirudha moolam. This is called the Ashwatha tree. Ficus religiosa. Religious fig tree. People tree. Not P-E-O-P-L-E, okay? Yeah. Not people. P-E-E-P-U-L. People tree. People tree. So Ashwatha menam is called Ashwatha. Why? Shvaha na tishtati nava iti shanka. The result shvaha means what? Shvaha, tomorrow. Tishtati will be there. Nava or not, there is a doubt. So Ashwatha menam suvirudha moolam. And then, oh my God, how do I tackle this? Which has no beginning, which has no end, which has no middle, and then it is well entrenched, suvirudha moolam. Because even if you want to jump out of samsara, there will be 10 other people that hold you back. As can be evidenced by so many people's stories about coming here to the ashram for the 6-month course. Very, very clear. Why you are going there? What you will study? What Vedanta? What can you write on your resume? I have self-knowledge. Will that give you a job? You know, should be in balance. Everything should be in balance means, you know, once in a lifetime you just pick up the Gita. It will be on the altar. It is to do puja, not to study. That is balance for them. So the Suvirudha Moolam means you make the desire to study, and then other people get worried and scared. Why are they worried and scared? Because deep down, even at the most unconscious level, they know you are doing the right thing. In fact, they would also like to do that very thing that you are doing. They would also like a life of immersion in this knowledge. But then there is a fear, there is a helplessness, there is a perceived inability. And so, but they can't, therefore, it's not easy for them to let you go. Because that means what? They also have to go. And they don't want to go, or they don't think they can go, therefore what? Pull you back. That is what. That's why Suvirudha Moolam. But then Bhagavan Krishna says there is a way out. This tree has got to be what? Felled. Fell the tree. Vrashchanam. Vrashchanam means felling. That's how the word vriksha comes to fore. This tree also has got to be felled. And then how should it be felled? Ashvathamenam suvirudha mola. And then this is how in one 3-year course one brahmachari read. Ashvathamenam suvirudha mola masanka shastrena dridhena chitva. And one satsang question came. Swamiji, what is masanka shastra? Asanga shastra. Suvirudha moolam asanga shastrena. The shastra is asanga. Asanga means what? Non-involvement. Through the scythe of non-involvement, I cut this well-entrenched tree of addictive behaviors, dysfunctional relationships, codependent habit patterns, pains, fears, sorrows, which I dare not look at, forget even trying to cross. Where there is no premium for inner work, where there is no celebration of emotional maturity, spiritual growth, where in fact every pain, every sorrow, the call for any kind of a change is doused in a lot of material enjoyment, suppressed and made dull by going from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, so that instead of doing vichara on my restlessness, on my pain, on my discomfort, on my relationship to samsara, I delve into samsara even more deeply and do not pay attention to anything else. This is what is called well-entrenched roots, for which asanga shastra. What is asanga shastra? The scythe of vairagya. Asanga means, how do you get asangatvam? Vairagya. What is vairagya? Letting the raga dveshas drop. Don't wait for the trees, the leaves of the tree to drop. In other words, don't wait for autumn. In some countries, in autumn, in this season actually, the leaves turn yellow and orange, beautiful, and then they just drop. Because the tree has to survive the winter. If it is full of leaves, it cannot survive. It is just Bhagavan's intelligence. The tree sheds. So one can say, okay, if the leaves symbolize objects of raga and dvesha, I'll just wait till autumn. Then all the raga dvesha will shed. Don't wait till autumn. Because if you wait till autumn, what will happen? In spring, they will just come back. It will just be like a little nirvikalpa samadhi, a temporary reprieve, not true knowledge. So what should I do? I give up what is symbolized by the leaves right now. I stop feeding off the leaves. So I transfer the material dependence to Ishvara dependence. First step. That is how Vairagya comes. Material dependence means depending upon things, situation, leaning on things, situation, people, circumstances and events. This is what one is used to. This is what one leans on. So, instead of leaning and depending on that, I inculcate more and more Ishvara dependence. From depending on other jivas, I take to a life of invocation of Ishvara, prayers, all of that is going to be talked about. And then I firmly put myself in Ishvara dependence and then stop feeding off the leaves, the flowers. What are the flowers? Vishayas. Pushpas is what? Dukkham. Phala is dukkham. All these things I stop gaining sustenance from the samsara tree. The samsara tree stops having any kind of a relevance for me. I am not very interested in getting my sustenance from the samsara tree. Why? Because the roots of the samsara tree are what? Bhagavan. I go straight to the root. Drop the fruit, go to the root. Go to the root, the heart of the matter. And then that is where I find my sustenance. And then what happens? The things of dependence start to drop on their own. Start to drop on their own. So if you really want something, and then you get busy, you don't find that particular thing, and then you get busy doing other things, what happens? That thing, you forget about it completely. And so this is what is called asanga shastrena dridhena. By holding this scythe, dridhena means with a sankalpa that even though this tree is huge trunk, it can easily slice through it like butter. That is the conviction. That is dridhata. That dridhata, dridena chitva. Chitva means what? Tva. Tva means having cut. It's not a complete sentence. That means we have to go to the next one. Having cut, what to do? Tataha, thereafter. After what? After chitva, after cutting. Cutting with vairagya. So here we are already having, this is a very beautiful shloka, these opening shlokas, because we are having the description of samsara and we are having the sadhanas to cut through the fog of samsara, cut through the tree of samsara. So what is the sadhana? There will be 4 sadhanas talked about, first of which is what? Vairagya. Vairagya includes what? Viveka as well. If Viveka is talked about, immediately bring in Vairagya. If Vairagya is talked about, immediately bring in what? Viveka. 2 are together. Tataha padam tat parimargitavyam. Pari plus mrij plus tavya. Tavya means the second step. Must, you must do. Atma va are shrotavya tavya. So shrotavya. And so that means you must do. You must do what? Pari plus mrij. Parimarjanam. To search. You have to search. Search for what? Exactly. You have to search. What am I searching for? You have to search. This is what is called Atma Vichara, Brahma Vichara, second sadhana that is being hinted at. Tat Padam. So what is the Pada? Pada means what? Goal. The goal has to be ascertained. Parimargitavyam, search for the goal, look for the goal. The goal is in the root. If you don't find the goal, what will happen? You will go goal. You will go round and round. This is what will happen. And so, the goal is very important. And what is the goal? That which is beyond the senses, that which cannot be objectified, that which is not part of this samsara tree, yet which is the truth, the content of this samsara tree, without really being involved in the tree, which is Ishvara, Bhagavan, Brahman. That is the goal which has to be ascertained after enquiry. This is not a belief-based tradition. It's not like somebody comes and says, you have to believe in God. Yes, sir. Yes, madam. Next. No, this is not a belief-based. Ishvara in our tradition is sophisticatedly presented as someone to be discovered, understood as the truth of the self. Ishvara is not something to be believed. It's not a matter for belief. It's a matter for understanding as an extension of myself alone. This is Ishvara. So therefore, tataha, thereafter, after what? Chitva. After Viveka Vairagya, which leads me to fell this tree. Fell the tree means what? Stand erect and say, I don't need this dependence on the finite anymore. The samsara vriksha is that which represents finitude at its best. It looks like a well-oiled system in which everybody has a part, and so what if I am a small cog? At least I am with other small cogs. That is no longer acceptable to me. I want to be the whole, and I don't want, for the sake of just small rewards, to put up with so much sorrow and to keep chasing the illusory pot of gold at the end of some rainbow or the other. That's what, there is a belief that like the rainbow is how? Like this, stretched across. So if you go to the end of the rainbow, and you have a choice, you can go to this end or that end. So when you follow the end of the rainbow, what will you find? A kind of an elf called leprechaun, and this leprechaun will give you a pot of gold. So can you go to the end of the rainbow? No. But because by the time you go, the rainbow itself would have evaporated into thin air. And so like this, I stop depending on samsara to fill my needs. This is asanga shastra. I come away I fly away. I cut the cords of bondage. Bondage means the notion that I can never be free. That is the bondage. I cut the cords of bondage, free myself, and then that is the felling of samsara. This is because of Viveka Vairagya. Viveka and Vairagya are dependent upon what? My knowing what the goal is. If people think samsara is the goal, then it will be very difficult, nay, impossible to leave. Not at all possible to leave. But if I know that samsara is not the goal, in fact it is inhibiting the expression of the goal, then I understand this. Samsara is not the goal. And so then, tat padam parimargitavyam. That pada, that goal has to be searched out and well ascertained. And what should that goal be? Yasmin gataha, gaining which, going where, na nivartanti bhuyaha, does not come back again and again. Gaining which there is fulfillment, gaining which the quest itself drops. I am no longer an infinite seeker. The infinite seeking drops. Why? Because now I am the seeker of the infinite. That is much safer. If I am an infinite seeker, then I keep on seeking this. That's why I want various kinds of fulfilling experiences. And then I go from ashram to ashram. Ashram hopping. First I was into shopping, now I am into ashram hopping. This is what it is. There is no contentment. And even though it is a spiritual activity, what am I getting out of it? Nothing. I am doing exactly the same thing that I was doing earlier, except the scenario has changed. That's all it is. So therefore, I need the goal to be that reaching which there is so much contentment, full of contentment, I don't seek anymore. The quest is finite when the seeker seeks the infinite. When the seeking itself is infinite. If I become an infinite seeker, that's a very sad scenario. It's better to seek the infinite than to become an infinite seeker. This is exactly what this is. And so, yasmin gataha na nivartanti bhuyaha. I don't come back with one more want, one more hope, one more desire. Why? Because this truth, this pursuit takes care of not just the desires, but the desiring being itself. That I am a wanting person is examined and given up. There is no such thing as a wanting person. The wanting person is an as though superimposition upon the non-wanting, full in itself, Purna Brahma. This is what I have to understand. Yasmin gataha na nivartanti bhuyah. That is tat padam. That is the pada which has to be analyzed. Just like we saw in the Mundakopanishad, Parikshya lokan karmachitan nirvedam ayat brahmana nasti akritah kritena. There is nothing that is there in the created jagat. The uncreated cannot be found. What I want is the uncreated, because anything that is put together, what happens to it? Falls apart. And so, yasmin gataha na nivartanti bhuyah tameva cha adyam purusham prapadye. Therefore, how to do this? I need help. Therefore, from people dependence, thing dependence, I become Ishvara dependent. Adyam Purusham, that Purnata which I see that as embodied in Ishvara. I see Ishvara as the embodiment of this Purnata and invoke this Bhagavan. Prapadye, propitiate, invoke, pray to, surrender to, which is the third sadhana. Ishvara Bhakti and Sharanagati. Third sadhana. What was the first sadhana? Viveka Vairagya. What was the second sadhana? Ascertaining the goal. What is the third sadhana? Adyam Purusham Prapadye. Seeking, surrendering to Bhagavan as the answer to the tree of samsara. Tamevacha Adyam. Adyam means that which was even before this samsara tree. Before the samsara came into being, before the samsara tree came into being, who was there? That one I seek. And then, Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadye Yataf Pravrittir Prasritaf Purani. So, I invoke that Ishvara from which all this whole Jagat has proliferated. The truth of this Jagat from which all names and forms have proliferated, I invoke that Ishvara. Beautiful. So nice. And then, have we left any word out? Let us look. No, in the third and fourth, have we left any word out? Yasmin gataha na nivartanti bhuyah tameva adyam purusham pravritti yataf pravrittihi. Pravrittihi means creation. All the activity which has led to the creation, prasritaha, has spread. Purani means the old creation. The creation right from the beginning has blossomed forth. That is the thing. Now, in the fifth verse, the what is that called? The fourth sadhana is given. What is the fourth sadhana? The same sadhanas that were given at the beginning of chapter 13. Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam, etc., etc., etc. That one. Okay? So, 20 qualities. Starting from humility, absence of pride, absence of arrogance, non-violence, etc., etc. That is going to be mentioned in brief in the fifth verse. Nirmana. Mana means Atmani Pujyatva Bhava. Pujyatva Bhava means what? I should be worshipped. Why? I'm great. I have a degree. Where is your degree? Well, it's at home. But right now I can show you my pedigree. If not degree, you should worship me for pedigree. Why? Because my grandfather was a great Pandit. This is how it is. We ride on the coattails of Grandfather, great-grandfather. Great-grandfather wrote a book. What have you done? No, but that's why I also deserve worship. So like this, mana. So nirmana means what? Free of mana. Nirmana plus moha. Moha means what? Delusion. Give up the mana but continue to have delusion. Is that what it means? No. It's one compound. Nirmana plus nirmoha. That nir has to be repeated. Otherwise you will take it as nirmana and moha. No. Nirmana, nirmoha. No mana, no moha. Delusion means wrong priorities. Everything is upside down. Priorities are upside down. Go after quick fixes, shiny, blingy objects. Blingy means your eyes have to dazzle. And then after that what? Finished. It's gone. It was just a plastic bauble with gold paint. That's all it was. Plastic bead with golden paint. And then seeing that, a person thought, oh, shining gold must be gold. And what is the ancient example for that? Seeing on the beach a worthless piece of shell, the person thought it was a silver coin which the king had dropped on his walk on the beach, and ran to get the quote-unquote silver coin, was thoroughly disappointed. And so like this, free of moha. And moha here means being deluded by the glitz, the glamour, the quick fixes, or that all these activities in the samsara tree, symbolized by the samsara tree, have to offer. Jita sanga doshaha. Jita, conquered. The one who is victorious is called Jita, from Ji, to conquer. So Jita, conquered. Sangadosha. Sangadosha means the cloying neediness of things. Neediness and dependence on things has been conquered by who? The Sangadosha. I immediately get what is that called? Velcro. I catch on to things. One catches on to things. One catches on to people. So one day I cannot live without you. Next day, get out of my life. This doesn't take very long. This is how it is. Shobhana adhyasa, then ashobhana adhyasa. Why? Because all this action is happening within where? The tree of samsara. Samsara means some sorrow or the other. This is what is samsara. And so, jitasangha doshaha. So where the fallacies of this addiction and the fallacies of this affliction called sangha. Sangha means over attachment to things, over affection. Affection is okay, friendliness is okay, being helpful is okay, but over is too much. That comes back to bite me. So, jitasanga dosha. These are all the fourth quality, which are various sadhanas. All the sadhanas come under this one only. Adhyatma nitya. Adhyatma nitya means a constant commitment to the study of the Shastra. Because I am convinced that after the first point, which was what? Parimargitavyam, after ascertaining the goal, I know what sadhana will take me to the sadhya. The sadhya, which is the end, not being other than myself, has to be discovered, because it's not to be gained. It's not outside of me. It is myself alone. That means what? How come I don't know it? That is the question. So I have to know it. So that knowledge becomes very, very important. Room for that knowledge. Nitya means a constant and a completely committed study of the Shastra. Adhyatma nitya. There also in the 13th chapter, Adhyatma jnana nityatvam, Tattva darshanam, we saw that. Same word here. Adhyatma nitya. Vinivritta kamaha. The kamas have been sent back. The kamas that came have been what? Sent back, dispatched. Means I am no longer following these kamas. So then all these kamas have come. What do? I put them in a box, put a stamp, and then post them. Don't come back. No return address. Bye-bye kamas. Bye-bye objects of desires. Vinivritta kamaha means this is all description of the person. Adhyatma nityaha, the people. Vinivritta kamaha. Vinivritta kamaha means they are freed of the kamas, relatively speaking, because we need room to study. If constantly I am meditating upon objects, and where is the time to meditate upon the nature of the subject, Ishvara? There is no time. Om Namah Shivaya. Then again I will be thinking, okay, where shall I go next? What shall I do? What shall I get to make myself feel better? All these things I am thinking. So therefore, there should be room, and the kamas are boxed up and shipped away, at least the ones that one is conscious of. So one has a relatively cheerful demeanor, freed of kama. Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha. Dvandvaihi vimuktaha. And gives an example. Sukha dukkha sangaihi. Dvandva means all these getting caught up in opposites, pairs of opposites. We have seen this before. Good, bad, hot, cold, and nice, not nice. Yeah, mana, apamana, sukha, dukkha, shita, ushna, all these things. Dharma, adharma. That doesn't mean we follow adharma, but what I am saying is getting completely bogged down by this, bogged down by these kinds of discussions of dvandva. In fact, a sadhu is told not to eat, not to take bhiksha if people are arguing about something. So if they go to the house and people are arguing, then the sadhu is supposed to just walk away and not go for bhiksha. And so that is the code of conduct that is given to the people who take sannyasa. And so the dvandvatitaha means the person who does not need to take sides, does not need to have one position or the other. And they may have positions, but does not need to defend them till the end of time. That is the idea. Especially about positions that don't matter. Here we are not talking of dharma or anything big. We are talking of small differences. We allow them to be, we accommodate that. So, dvandvair vinirmukta sukha dukkha samyaihi. Samyaihi means in the form of sukha dukkha, etc. Such people who are they? Amudhaha. Nice. Usually we have been meeting mudhas along the way. This is the non-deluded person ready to be wise. Gacchanti. Such people go. Where do they go? Gacchanti amudhaha avyayam padam tat. They go to that unchanging end. Which is what? Themselves. Which is what? Bhagavan. What does that end look like? What it is, we will see on Tuesday. Okay? We'll see that on Tuesday. Tomorrow, Monday. And you'll be having what? Third chapter review, summary, whatever you want to call it, by Swami Svatsvarupanandaji. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti.